How's it going, everybody? Shinigami here to bring you another final video for the Acolyte. And this one is a doozy because now maybe for people that like the original trilogy, this one doesn't break the canon as much. But for people that like the prequels and obviously whatever George set up before he sold it to Disney, yeah, this episode pretty much goes bonkers. Cameos, lore-breaking events, and yeah, we'll go over it. So, we start the episode off with Asha still over there with Smilo Ren, and she has the helmet on. She's starting to, like, basically, what's the word? Hyperventilate, and in doing so, whatchamacallit, Smilo Ren shows up and is just smiling at first, and then he's kind of like, oh wait, something's going on. Gets closer to her, and then he starts getting like fucking possessed the way that Mother Anastasia possessed Master Torben. And in doing so, you know, Asha's power seemed to just like awaken exponentially from where before she was having troubles in the beginning or even in the middle of the show. Even trying to use the Force, couldn't do shit. But now that she's put on the sensory deprivation helmet, she's able to, yeah, she's able to do it just fine. And, yeah, this basically just starts the whole thing of intersectional feminism and how doesn't need any training, doesn't need to do much. She's just special and gifted and brave, powerful women. And even Smilo Ren was struggling a little bit, trying to fight her off, right? As that scene continues, she basically says, oh, I saw a vision of May having a lightsaber but not using it, and she was apparently killing Master Soul, and kind of some foreshadowing for later on in the episode. Continuing that on, you know, she's like, okay, well, we gotta go. I know where they're at. And Smilo Ren's basically just like, well, there's only one ship, so I'll be leaving. And then Asha's just like, no, I'm gonna go with you because I need to, you know, basically save my sister and stop her from killing Soul, because that's her main objective. She doesn't want Soul to die. She's like, maybe I can change the future of this. It's not set in stone. And then he's like, Smilo Ren basically just goes, well, I guess we'll see who gets to her first, and just allows her to go on the ship with her. It's just like, huh? There's obviously only one ship, but yet he's full well okay with her just going with them, right? As they get closer to the ship, you know, just long bragging scenes of them just walking to the ship. Get a glimpse, I'll pop it up here, of a certain someone, not that part, that's from the ending. Not that part either. Not that part either. This part. Oh my goodness. Who can that be? Some people were saying Squidward. Nope, sorry. Some people were saying, what's his name? Oh my god, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the guy from fucking Endgame and Infinity War. Yeah, the one that got made fun of for looking like Squidward. And, but no, this is Plagueis. Darth Plagueis, actually, the Wise. Someone who, again, I guess, who gives a shit if they change the birthdays, setting him earlier than he should be. That's not the issue. The issue is, now, you got the idea of, obviously, trying to make Anakin, before Anakin, creating a life with the Force. You got that idea from seeing Asha and May, and what happened with them, and how they were basically created using the Force, being manipulated and other stuff like that. So this becomes a catalyst for why Anakin exists and why Palpatine goes through with his plan the way that he does. It's all just to set that up. It's pretty shit that it would go that level, but yeah. Now let me see, what else do we got? After that, move on to what happens with May. And so she's still strapped onto the ship. Now, for whatever reason, Master Soul doesn't decide to take off the little pip droid that she has on her hip, which allows her to basically start picking at the lock. And again, since Pip now is on her side, yeah, Pip's not gonna disobey the new master that she has, or that he has, whatever. And you know, Soul is just basically trying to confess and tell May what they are and how this is going about. That you guys are not twins, you're not even sisters. You guys are basically one consciousness split between two bodies. But before he gets to say that, she breaks out and ends up tasing him with the pip droid. After that, she's looking for an escape pod or anything that she can use. The little pip droid basically goes, "Oh, look over here! You can escape this way." She takes the escape pod, puts on this ridiculous helmet, which obviously is supposed to be a callback to Anakin and Luke. It's a throwaway fucking gag, I guess you could say. And after she's starting to escape, because they're told that they're on Brendok, that's where they were heading, Master Soul ends up detaching another piece of his ship to chase her, which again is just like, why couldn't you just follow her with the pre-existing ship you already had? Why did you have to break apart the ship even more into a smaller segment? Whatever. So then this chick decides to fly through an asteroid belt around a planet, and normally there's some kind of throwaway line of like, you know, put the energy shields up or some kind of protoplasm, something to, you know, deflect the dangers of outer space, so that way rocks, asteroids, other things don't damage the ship. Nothing like that, even like a quick 10-second line. Nah, we don't get that. Instead, they're just basically flying through the rings around this planet at pretty fast speeds, and no damages to the ship, even though they should be getting cut through like Swiss cheese. And during this whole little event, Basil does another ridiculous thing where obviously he knows May's the bad one. I mean, he bit her and stomped her foot. So why, when Soul is apparently gonna shoot at her with some missiles or tractor beam, something, Basil ends up breaking the wires and chewing through them, messing up Soul's ship, causing them to crash. And because of this, both of them crash onto Brendok. Obviously, lucky that they landed on Brendok, and even luckier that they landed close enough to where the actual Witch Coven's base was at. So it's just lucky happenstance that it all worked out in their favor. I could just see right there, Plagueis is trending. Jesus Christ. So yeah, obviously we've seen her sister Asha survive a spaceship crash from space onto a planet with no damages, no cuts, no bruises, nothing. So no big surprise that her sister can also survive this kind of fall. From that point on, we cut to back to the Senate, and whatchamacallit, what's his name? Padawan Mole, I think is his name. I don't remember, the guy who kind of looks like iDubbbz. He basically let in this senator into the control room, but without Master Venestra knowing about it first. So he's showing his incompetency, and in doing so, she's a little pissed because she's just like, shit, they're not supposed to know anything about what's going on here. Just for this dude to basically say, no, I know what's been going on, and I've heard that there's been some deaths. And then she confesses, okay, it's been a few multiple Jedi that have died. And then, you know, he's just like, see, this is exactly why I don't want the Jedi to do what they're doing, because they have too much uncontrolled power. They don't listen to anybody. They're doing things on their own free will. When Master Venestra is just basically saying, no, well, this is an internal matter where we're taking care of it, okay? But obviously, you know, well, it's leaked somehow that there's some bad shit going on with the Jedi. Let's just take a listen and see what he says.
I think the Jedi are a massive system of unchecked power, posing as a religion. A delusional cult that claims to control the uncontrollable.
We don't control the Force.
Not the Force. your emotions. You project an image of goodness and restraint. But it's only a matter of time before one of you snaps. And when, not if that happens, who will be strong enough to stop him?
That's certainly an opinion, and not one shared by the rest of the Senate.
The majority of my colleagues can't imagine a galaxy without the Jedi. And I can understand why.
And again, what he's basically saying is a foreshadowing of Anakin's betrayal and even Palpatine having all the shit that plays out in Revenge of the Sith and all that stuff. And it's just like, stop trying to connect this garbage to that film, where at least those films are still held in high regard, especially the generation, I would say my generation and stuff, that grew up with those films, loved them, adored them, and then now you're having them play out to try and connect them to this High Republic's garbage. It doesn't sit well with many people, and especially when you're trying to make very much the purpose of this show, the Jedi are the bad guys, and people like the Witch Coven are not bad, even though they're clearly dark side users. And George has said plenty of times, the Jedi are good. They bring balance, and it's not just, oh, they're trying to be judge, jury, and executioner. No, they bring balance to the emotions, to the environment, to, you know, the politics and other things like that, trying to keep everything level-headed, while the Sith deal in absolutes, fear, anger, hatred, all those things that make their emotions even crazier. Basically, think of like in Uchiha from Naruto, where the more they love something, and then if they lose that something, that hatred just powers them up further. That's basically the same kind of insinuation from the Sith. And again, for obviously for modern Hollywood, yeah, no, they don't have those kind of moralities where it's just a dog-eat-dog world. You have to slight people to get into higher positions. You got to be able to sleep with a few people you may not like, you know, suck a few dicks, and then maybe you'll get the role that you want. Obviously, Leslie's writing about personal experiences here with Harvey Weinstein that she used to work with, and yeah, the morality is not there at all. And we hear a line later on that I'll show you, just basically solidifies that statement that Disney thinks of the Jedi as flawed and the bad guys, and we should always be rooting for the anti-hero to do better and stuff like that, when in reality this show only just proved maybe the Jedi are a little bit inept, but they're not evil. They're not just being malicious, cutting down people and shit like that. Like, no, you're trying to portray them as this malicious force, and then, you know, he makes an insult.
Why? When you're looking up to heroes, you don't have to face what's right in front of you.
It even says, "May the Force be with you." Is that what some say? Just like, oh my god. Whatchamacallit. So yeah, there's that stuff. We'll get into that scene right now in a little bit. What else do we got here? Not that one. Oh yeah. This scene will be very intrusive, integral later. I'll show that, this little portion of the comics, in a bit. From there, we cut back to Brendok, where seemingly Asha and Smilo Ren get to the gates of the building, or of the little base, foot of the mountain, and Asha decides, okay, I'm gonna hotwire and just plug in some fucking wires here, even though there should be no power. They've already said, Lesley Headland has explained that, you know, a part of the reason the fires got so bad was because the electrical blew up. So there should be no power for you to go tick tick tick, open the door, right? Like, no, you would probably have to scale the mountain. And then we even see this a little later when Master Vanestra gets on the planet. And again, the center console that were messed up from the top portion of it shouldn't allow any kind of access, but obviously Master Vanestra just uses the force and goes, right, open up. It's like, okay. So at that little scene, basically Asha is like, okay, we're gonna would look for her sister or whatever, and then Smiler Ren's just like, not if I get to her first, and then fucking does a Batman and disappears the second she looks away. It's just like, what the fuck? From there, you got Master Soul and May already inside the base. No, this time Master Soul is still looking for May because she's just disappeared. Master Soul is basically just reliving the events that took place that terrible night. Hearing the Force, ghosts, voices, whatever, basically epilogue. Yeah, it's just wild. The fucking Force basically gives him a little playback of what just recently happened a few years ago. He's obviously traumatized by the whole situation. And then he's at the spot where he could have saved May and Asha by just using the Force on them, but instead he decided to try and use the Force on this heavy-ass railing. Don't know why he did that. From there, moving on, we got the other issue at hand where he's obviously still just yelling out loud, May! May! And the other thing that he was trying to point to the council about, which I kind of went by real quick, was there's a virgins on the planet, and so he needs May and Asha there to be able to prove to the council there is a virgins on this planet, even though they already had their DNA samples, their blood, that night that they had basically tested them out. So why the fuck do they need to have them personally there is beyond me. You already have their blood samples and that stuff in the databank that should be able to just be pulled up and be like, hey, look, these two people share the same type of symbiotes. They're not different like twins. They're literally one person divided into two bodies. So it's like, this should be cake to be able to explain to the council with the sufficient evidence you have. But for whatever reason, the writers and other people are just like, nah, we need to have some more conflict and just can't let him leave. He needs to have May and Asha physically with them, so that way the council will believe him. Whatchamacallit. From there, as we saw in this little portion down here, was it on this one? No. I'll definitely show this part in a little bit. But we get this ridiculous scene with them fighting. And as they're fighting throughout the temple and all this, we start getting a little bit of Matrix fight scenes in here. Yep, slow drifting down. Let's go. It's just like, what? Okay. You have a whole little segment of this fucking dude. Again, some of the fight, obviously, it's very Matrix. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, he pulls out his butter knife as well. Soul's able to deflect that shit. Whatchamacallit? Crouching Tiger Hidden something? The fucking Bruce Lee film. So I know that they got a few inspirations from some older films, but can't say it's not cringe in the slightest when you have the ability to use the Force and lightsabers and you decide to go with kicks and punches and other things like that, and also some little spins here and there. Look at this. Wah, 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 wah. Deflect. Kaboom! Yeah. So again, obviously you have the ability to use the Force, and it's very powerful, but for whatever reason you're like, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to keep turning off my lightsaber and turning it back on and all this other dumb shit. Anyways, so we cut from that part, and Soul is able to disarm Smilo Ren. He cuts off the tip of his lightsaber so that way he can actually use it, and which is kind of ridiculous because he just showed that he has a smaller version of that, so why can't he just pop out the bottom and then still use the lightsaber? Don't know, but can't use his lightsaber anymore, apparently. And then Soul is just holding his lightsaber right in his face for like a good 20 seconds, and instead of killing him there, here and there, he waits until, you guessed it, May comes in and fucking is able to grapple off the lightsaber from him. Oh, sorry, I should backtrack a little bit. Just before May gets there, Asha encounters May, and they have a little cat fight where, they are basically just fighting like the Matrix, a whole right, and doing some kicks, some other stuff here and there, and then you got May basically groaning, and then Asha starts screaming, going, "Ah!" Right? It's like, okay, all right, calm down now. After that whole ordeal, you have, again, that's where we get to this scene where May pulls a Batman and just disappears when Asha's not looking, because they see the ship coming in. That's Master Vanestra. And in that little time, May just fucking booked it out of there. Just ridiculous. But, so then again, we cut back to this scene where Soul's holding Smiler Ren at lightsaber point and waits for so damn long to do anything. And then that's where May comes in, disarms him, fucking throws his lightsaber to a stone, like one of the debris that's right there in the back. And that's able to damage basically the kyber crystal inside and makes it dislodged so that it's not able to be activated. Also gets a dent in it. Just kind of ridiculous, because it's just like, really? That easy to fucking break a lightsaber? Shit. Fucking Sith Lords and others should have been doing that eons and years later, instead of all the shit they had to do with fighting Jedis and stuff. From that point on, you got Master Soul confessing on what happened, and in doing so, you have the whole thing play out where now, because of this, Soul is telling May what actually happened, on how, you know, he basically says, yes, I did kill your mother, and tries to explain again that you guys are not twins, you're not sisters, you're one person divided into two bodies. And in doing so, Asha finally arrives, and then she's confronting Soul about this, because again, she picks up his lightsaber since nobody was looking, and goes, "You killed my mother?" And Soul just goes, "Yes." Okay, it's not really. I mean, again, when Mother Anastasia was about to consume May, turning her into also a dark cloud, Mother Anastasia was also going demon mode and shit, with her fucking mouth wide open, eyes all black and shit like that. And then also just so happens to materialize right onto the fucking lightsaber, where Mother Coral didn't do that. She definitely was like, I'm not gonna get stabbed. So, like, it seemed very much on purpose that Mother Anastasia stabbed herself with the lightsaber. Don't know why, but she did. Then we get this fucking interaction with May getting all upset. He said, I love... And so he's trying to say, I love you. Now, whether that's in a father-daughter type of love, if that's just an inappropriate pedophile kind of love, I don't really get that explained. Some people would obviously try and go to the latter, but it's unsettling, because he puts so much emotion, so many feelings towards Asha, that obviously makes some people question, what the fuck are we watching, right? And everybody's like fucking surprised, like, oh shit, she's actually choking me. Yep. And again, this is the most amount of fucking acting she puts in of her anger. Where we've definitely seen how she looks when she's pissed, but for whatever reason in this fucking show and stuff, she can't do any other emotion other than... And he goes, it's okay. I'll allow you to kill me. I'm paying for this. Also, May does a whole fucking 180 flip, and instead of killing Soul when she had the chance, she says, no, we're going to turn him into the High Council. He's going to pay for his crimes. And then so that's why she's shocked that her sister's over here like, I'm going to kill you. She's like, what? What in the fuck is going on with this show? And then there you go. And she kills him. From there on, she basically... she grabs the lightsaber. At this point, she already had grabbed it, but she grabs the lightsaber. It looks like she's bleeding into it at first, because it looks like she's squeezing it so hard that she cut herself, and it's somehow bleeding into the kyber crystal. Where this wasn't how it was back then. Before, with George Lucas, just like there's green, blue lightsabers and stuff like that, the kyber crystal, I should say, there were red kyber crystals. And it wasn't until, I want to say the extended universe, or even Disney's, I think once Disney bought them, they basically retconned red kyber crystals, and that they're created by pouring your emotions into the gem, the stone, and it, you basically make it cry, you make it bleed. Granted, for people like, back to Star Wars theory, for people like even Darth Vader, it took him years to be able to try and change the lightsaber and make it red. But for whatever reason, when it comes to Asha, she's able to just, boom, here we go. Badass female character, we can just do it without any training and any other kind of struggle. We get to turn our kyber crystal red. And I know some people are going to be nitpicky and say, like, no, that's not what happened. It's because it was bleeding from her, or it was bleeding. Either way, that's a dumb fucking thing that's supposed to not happen. And the way that it went about it was just a cop-out. So now she has a red lightsaber. Smiler Ren tries to kind of comfort her in the situation, and she's like, get off me. From there, Venestra finally gets out of her ship, and since Smiler Ren's not wearing his sensory deprivation helmet, Master Venestra is able to sense him and be like, so again, finally someone has the ability to sense other people on this planet just by being in their presence, general vicinity, right? Something that Master Soul and a lot of the other Jedis could not do for whatever fucking reason. And then, moving on from that point, Asha and May run off. They basically leave the way that May had fallen through the first time, where that big old chasm that they were in. They go down to the bottom. There's a little tunnel that gets into the ground level, or I should say the bottom of the mountain. And doing all this basically gets them set up for, Venestra and them trying to look for where they're at. And doing so, for some reason, they actually cannot be spotted or found at all, which is kind of weird. Let's see if I could see that scene again. Not that one, not that one. Yeah, I guess I can't really find it. But now you got Basil helping them out, track Asha and May and all that stuff. And so they're starting to, get closer to where they're at. And then we stumble upon that yellow tree that was in episode 3 and episode 7. And now this is possibly where the Virgins is exactly on, because this is the only tree like that. And not much is really explained in this goddamn show. But because of that, we have it. Whatchamacallit. You have Smiler Ren show back up and being like, if I could find you, the Jedi can also find you. And, kind of gives them an ultimatum about what should be done. Asha says, you know what? Let my sister be free. I'll join you. And then Smiler basically says, okay, well, I can wipe her memory clean. And again, this would be really useful to have done earlier in the season. How many times you could have wiped somebody's memory, and whether you're in a conflict and been, you forgot everything. Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, you would have none of the issues that you have at this point. But again, writers being lazy. And so Asha's like, okay, well, let me have a moment at least. She's starting to hug her sister, basically saying, I am with you and always with you. The same old thing that they basically said in episode 3. And then Smiler Ren does a little hand wave, and she starts to forget. Then cut back to Master Venestra arriving to where they were at, but obviously Smiler Ren and Asha are gone. They apprehend May, and they basically, once they get back to Coruscant, you have some kind of direct parallels, like with Palpatine and stuff like that, and Anakin, where she comes in cuffed to Master Venestra's room, I guess, or the little control room that she was in the last time, and basically says, you can unshackle her. We'll be fine. Then you have some other cringe scenes where they basically are trying to figure out, you don't remember anything, what was the last thing you remember? May goes, oh, the last thing I remember was a fire and other stuff. And then in doing so, she's trying to piece together how much she actually knows. Then we get to Master Venestra just telling the Senate, was it? Yeah, the Senate or the Council. Sorry, kind of getting confused at this point. But she's explaining to the politicians on how it was just one rogue Jedi, Master Soul, and then we'll get into the scene that happens here.
While this is a terrible tragedy, it was the work of one flawed man. While this is...
Again, pinning it all on the men. Pinning it all on, I know, something that these people obviously see near and dear to their hearts. That George Lucas was a flawed man and how he patronized women, other things like that, even though he had a diverse cast and other things like that. But yeah, they basically pin this all on Soul. And even though there's that one senator who's just like, well, how can we really trust you and all this other stuff? You already had this incident happen. It's just retarded. Finally, we get to the part that you were seeing. Whatchamacallit? Not that one, not that one, and not that one. But that's towards the end. I'll show it in a little bit. How's that? Let me see who else has that scene. Yeah, and then we get this scene where no more Palpatine, or sorry, Plagueis in this whole thing, but yeah, they basically decide to train, and that's that Reylo's relationship fanfic that people were really craving, apparently, in the sequel trilogy, made reality. And then after that, then you have the scene that I was about to show here with Mr. Yoda, even though everybody else knows about what happened, somehow Yoda didn't sense all this shit going on. Again, just for someone who's able to sense the terrible stuff that happened on Tatooine, when Anakin slaughtered all those Tusken Raiders, and then when Order 66 happened and Jedi are falling in masses, Yoda was able to sense that. Well, guess what? He's not able to sense anything that happened in this fucking show. And then also, not for 1,000 years had there been a Sith, and also they had been in peace for over 1,000 years. Obviously, that gets ruined when you have this interjected before the Phantom Menace, and it makes it just seem like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Yoda are just incompetent, and this is why they had their reservations for Anakin, because they already had this issue go out or happen in the first. They basically stop Anakin, or almost deny Anakin entry into becoming a Jedi because of Asha and because of this show. That's what's the implied final verdict. But obviously, Qui-Gon was able to have enough say, even in death, that they changed their mind. But just, oh my goodness, this show, I gotta say, it's really done a number to the prequels, and just makes the Jedi even more incompetent and absurdly stupid for their actions. And also, in a way, they were trying to have us they were trying to portray the Jedi as bad, when most of it is just they're just really bad decisions they were making, or just impulsive. And then the other thing too, they make you try to root for May and Asha, but it's just like, you people are not good at all. Like, I hope the Jedi catch you and kill you. Like, this is not a good fucking thing, especially the way you went about it. One killed 3 other Jedis. Obviously, Smilo killed 1, but it's just this nepotism towards the heroes of the story, the role models that people should be aspiring to. Not to mention, obviously, kind of weird and racist if you think about it in Disney's perspective, that the founder and kind of first start of force choking someone was done by a black chick, mixed black chick, and she let her emotions get to her, became susceptible by the dark side. Also, they don't have fathers, so, fatherless figures. So many little things you could just keep adding into. Like, this wasn't really well thought out, now was it? Like, you tried to make the Covenant of Witches appear good, when in reality they just kept lying and manipulated the situation until it got bad for them and they got fucked over. Obviously by their own doing. But just, let me just say, glad this show's over. Can't wait to see them come out with the second season. I'm pretty sure they're going to attempt it. But at this point, some people are saying, no, don't go for it. I'll say go for it. Because you basically left this at such a cliffhanger. Whatever you do next will only be worse. And for all the better, right? Some people will be able to make more videos off this stuff, and that's fine by me. Got to make fun of this shit. Yes, get a little upset, but sometimes you just gotta laugh and point and be like, haha, you guys are stupid. Other than that, hey, Shinigami signing out. Hopefully you enjoyed my review of episode 8, and this will be all in a nice little playlist for everybody to check out if they want. With that being said, give it a like, subscribe, follow, dislike, whatever you want to do. Give me your thoughts and opinions. Have a good night, good morning, and good evening. And I'll catch you next time. Hey, Shinigami signing out. Bye.